It is July 5, and it's my great pleasure to once again welcome JP to Exopolitics today. Thank you for coming, JP.
Been a long time, Doc, but we're here to bring information and to bring what's happening, uh, what's happening in the inside. I got the green light to talk about it, so let's dive right into it.
Wonderful. Now, for those that are new and don't know about you, just very quickly, I've known you since 2008. In 2017, you began sending me photos of, or actually in 2015, you began sending me photos of different UFO craft. But in 2017, you were sending me photos of craft around MacDill Air Force Base. And we published those photos, and that's when I first announced you to the general public and people began to know about you. In 2020, you joined the US Army. Did you want to say something about that?
Uh, yeah, I joined the U.S. Army and uh, I went to Fort Jackson, Fort Lee, Fort Benning, and then I was stationed in Eglin Air Force Base in an area in Eglin Air Force Base. That soon I think I'm gonna um, probably tell people the location where I was.
Okay, wonderful. And you retired in August of 2024, and during your military service, you've done many covert missions, and you've given us updates on those missions with the permission of superior officers in the Air Force. And so, technically speaking, you're not a whistleblower, you're more an insider. And that's an important distinction because you always get the green light to reveal information. And even after your military service came to an end in August, you are still called away or participate in missions. So, yeah, why don't you tell us about your latest mission?
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, it was like a type of meeting type of deal, Doc. I got called to the base. I know you've been to this base before, and I went to this. I parked my truck, and I went into this building inside the base. And inside this building, there was military people without insignia, but there were some people with their name still. Because sometimes you sew your name on your camel. So I still saw rank and name. They had like a sticker to cover it. They didn't want nobody to know their rank or their names inside inside this building inside the base. So we went there and we lined up to the back, and there was white vans. There was like 6 white vans. They said, "Oh, we got to go into these vans." I'm like, "Oh crap." Oh man, because when you go to the base, you either go there for your ID or you go there, So, like, and I left my phone in the box in the base, so nobody knows where you're at. So they strip you from any other kind of electronics. If you have even a regular watch, they don't allow. Necklaces, they just strip you off with anything that is like hanging. If you have earrings or if you have rings, they check your shoes. Like if you were in an airport, like they check you completely before taking you out to another location. So I'm like, dang, oh man. So I entered into the van, and they took us out from the base. They started taking out, and I was asking to the guy next door to me. He said, "Hey," I bumped him like this, and he was like, "Hey, where are we going?" He said, "I don't know shit, man. I'm just here because they called me in and they want to talk to me. I'm like, same here, same here. So do you know where we're going? He's like, man, I don't know. So they really don't like to talk. The people that goes on these not missions but these meetings, because we have these meetings in between just let us know what's happening. So they took us to this other, like it looked like a house, doc, uh more more outer where I live. So this house is right in the city, but like a little bit more in, like, but it's in the center of the city, but a little bit more in. They parked the vans in the back, and it had these high fences, wooden fences, high, and they were painted like grayish green. These fences, so they parked in the back. They had a guy dressed in like a gray attire with boots, and he opened the backhand, and everybody parked. Everybody parked, and we got out, and we entered into this house, and it had a screen with the whole wall, right? And it looked like a situation type of room. So I'm like, oh man, what's happening here? And they had everybody sit down. There's a total of like probably like 26 or 30-ish people inside this house. So they had the seats in rows, so you could fit like 30 or 20-ish people. But I counted like around 28 around there, plus the people that were in front explaining what was happening. So they were explaining and they were showing. They had two TVs and they had a big screen that covered the whole wall, and it showed the map of the east side of the United States and the Atlantic Ocean and a little bit of Africa. So we're seeing the dots the same way we saw the dots in the last update that I was telling you of different dots, and we saw a big dot blinking, and he said, well, right now we want to explain, the guy in charge that was talking in front. He says, now we want to explain that this massive ship, it's in the air in the middle of the Atlantic, and it's in high altitude, and it's giving out a signal. It has been doing this since the signal in Antarctica was giving out a signal. So these two arcs are giving out a signal, and it's calling a massive ship towards Earth.
So we're talking about two space arcs. The Atlantic Space Ark, you're saying, has come up from the ocean floor and is now in the atmosphere, and that it began doing that when it got a signal from the Antarctic Space Ark, and that's under the ice.
Yeah, that one is still under the ice.
I see.
That one is still under the ice. That one is massive.
And that's the one that Jean-Charles said he traveled to. That's the same space ark.
Well, if he says that, if he experienced that, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that it's still under the ark,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, if John Charles visited it, hey, kudos to him. That's awesome. But yeah, I think it's probably the same one that he's talking about. If it's the same one I'm talking about, but it's huge. That one is huge, and
is that near Lake Vostok?
I'm not sure of the location, Doc.
Okay, all right.
I can show you in the map when I get off where it probably is. It's probably near where I showed you. I remember I showed you some information. I don't know if you still have that video about these buildings that were being built over there, and where these portals were kept. So I think back in the days, the Germans, they were in charge of it. So
Hmm. Hmm.
is right by that location. So
Okay, so you're told about this Atlantic Space Ark floating up in the atmosphere after receiving a signal from the Antarctica Space Ark. So yeah, why don't you resume and tell us what you were told?
everybody started like going crazy about this. Everybody started looking at each other like, wow, we can't believe this is happening. It's actually up, and people can actually see it. Like if people go out to the Atlantic and they go to this location, they can actually see the ark floating, and it creates. I think I said this in my last uh video in that I did on YouTube. These ships have the capability of creating clouds, creating like a type of mist or a fog that can protect them in hiding in in the clouds, and they can also generate storms because of the heat or what is generating out of it to protect itself, from any satellite or radar or um, the technology is advanced. And then the Nordics are the one that are doing this. They have activated, and I think there's a couple of soldiers from different countries as well inside this arc um, that is activated. I haven't gone, but if I got brung to this meeting, similar to what happened in the Pacific, they bring you before, and then out of nowhere you go, and I'm just waiting to see if something happens that they'll take me over there because it's turned on and it's over the Atlantic, so it's activated. So I think the Nordics, they have activated the arc.
Okay, so now in your your last update about the Atlantic Space Ark, I think you talked about the crystal jewel being taken back, and that the Nordics were now kind of like in control of that ark, and but so the Nordics are in control. They've elevated it or activated it, and they have the help of some soldiers from different countries who obviously have the right frequencies and consciousness to activate the different parts of the ark.
It's like, for example, they're like basically saying humanity better shape up. All these wars are stopping right now for a reason, Doc. Uh,
Right.
this massive ship just got over the Atlantic, and everybody is like shaken up by its by that technology. So everybody's like calming down a little bit, and I think they related that message to the governments around the world. Calm down, or you know, we got this. So I think everybody is pulling the brakes on their horse because it's no joke. We need to save whatever we have in this planet. We need to be safe. We need to make the right decisions in order to go to a Star Trek future.
Okay, so with this Atlantic Space Ark that's been activated and is floating, you mentioned clouds. So if people are out in the ocean and were looking for it, they would see like a massive lenticular cloud, something like that. That's because you've described the Space Ark as being like an oval shape, about the
Yeah,
size of like four football, or four, was it
it's big.
four
Four
football
football fields,
fields?
like around 3 to 4 football fields.
Okay, okay.
If there was like three stadiums put together, like that's how it's massive.
It's massive and
So
it's oval shape.
you can clearly see it from space, or
Hmm.
but even for space, 3 football fields is small, but you can still see it. Uh,
Right. Okay.
Massive, massive, and it's calling, and they were talking about it. Everybody was like talking, and I saw also Nordics looking people dressed in civilian clothes also in that meeting, and they were saying that it was calling another ship from outer. It's coming in, like it's coming in really fast. Uh,
Now, is that connected to that third interstellar object that has just come into our solar system? First, there was Oumuamua, and then it's, I think, Borislav was the second. So there's a third object just the last week that's come into our solar system. So you're saying that is connected with this Atlantic Space Ark floating up?
yes. Are you referring to 31 Atlas?
I don't know the name of it, but this is the third interstellar object that's been tracked into our solar system.
Well, I didn't say nothing. You said it. So third
Okay,
interstellar object that's coming in. Something that's coming in that's
correct.
like 13 or 12 and a half miles long. It's huge. And it's
Mm-hmm.
coming in hot. So uh it's just people have to be careful brewing these wars or whatever's happening. Uh because these beings, they don't want the earth to be destroyed. So um I really um I really think the like your last video, I really think the Gog Magog got stopped. So uh,
Yes, yes. I think it did too.
yeah, it was about to go down, but something happened that made everybody stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important. So what else were you told at this meeting by the briefing officer up front?
So they took everybody in line and they started talking about what they're gonna do and probably how they're gonna tell people about this. And I think people are gonna realize that this ship, or if the Pacific Ark also comes up, or the other arcs that are under the ground starts activating, they're going to turn really hot and they're going to activate the springs around them and all that. People might think, it's probably volcanic or volcano activity,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really not. It's the arcs activating and
Mm-hmm.
activating the springs around it. So uh, it's gonna it's gonna probably shake the earth if these arcs come out at once.
Now, with the Atlantic Space Ark, it's kind of like under the control of the Nordic extraterrestrials with some humans cooperating, right? So, yeah, I mean, would you say that that Atlantic Space Ark is still under control of those we would consider to be benevolent?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody is safe right now. Everybody is safe. Yes, the black hats are still trying to fight their way through. I think a couple deals were made.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's happening, but they're backing up. But they're always gonna try, Doc. It doesn't matter if they do a deal or not. They always try to kill and destroy. That's what they want to do. They're evil. They're evil.
Right, right. If they can't
So
control it, then they will destroy it. Yes, I understand that
mm,
mindset. Now, you mentioned the Pacific Space Ark. So, is that pretty much still under the control of the Black Hats who kidnapped you or abducted you?
no, no. They're not. I think they're not alive no more, Doc.
Oh,
Uh,
I
I
see.
think I think the Ark did whatever it did, and I think they're not alive. So
Oh, okay. That's important to know. So the
yeah,
Ark has a self-defense mechanism in case dark hats intrude that they can be killed.
yeah, they could totally be killed. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
well, let's put it transported to another place. Let's
Okay.
put it that way. I think it has the capability of the force field transporting people like to a different place,
Mm-hmm.
and they just cease to exist in our reality. You
I
know,
see.
I don't know if you saw the last UFO picture or video I did over my house. It was quite interesting, the experience. I recorded it. Uh, it happened right after that meeting.
Oh, that's interesting. So there's a connection between that meeting that you had telling you about the Atlantic Space Ark floating and the UFO that appeared over your house, I think on Saturday, June 28, right?
Yeah.
On the night? Or was it night, early morning?
12 a.m. 12 a.m. Everybody was
Okay.
knocked out, and I just went outside. I had a feeling, and I started. I looked up over my house, and I'm like, "Yeah, nice." So I started recording, and I was scared that that video was gonna be taken out of my phone. So I sent it to a couple people. I think I sent it to you. I sent it to another person before uh, it got out from my phone, but it did got out from my phone, and I went to the trash, and it was there, and I reloaded it, and I saved it again. So I don't know. They have control. My phone has been acting weird. It's been turning on at night with music. It's been acting weird since I shared this UFO video. So
Now, one of the things that I think it's important for people to know is that back in 2017, that you were warned not to release videos and only to that was okay for you to release photos to me, and I was releasing those, but
yeah.
videos that you were warned not to do that. Do you want to just kind of like explain what happened then and how you think that relates to you taking this video and then you got sick.
Oh yeah, I really got sick after releasing this video. I had a pain in my chest, and I thought I was probably getting a heart attack or something. Lately I've been getting these pains every time I release something with you or release something with uh, somebody else. It's just I get a sharp pain, and it always happens when I get out of my house and I start driving. Like if somebody's following me or directive energy, something. So I had to go to the hospital straight because you don't play around with that. If you have a pain in your chest, you don't play around with that. So and also because I'm traveling a lot, uh, I don't know if it's like a pulmonary blockage or something like that. So the doctors were worried about a pulmonary blockage in my lungs. So they did the X-ray, they did a iodine, CAT scan on
Hmm.
my chest and everything came out perfect. And I came out like, wow, what's happening? Like, like if they do something, there's no proof, because
Mhm.
it's technology, it's vibrational technology.
How much time elapsed between you releasing the video and you feeling these chest pains and then going to hospital?
What happened the next day?
It happened the next day. So you released the video.
I took the video, and the next day I released it to everybody. I'm like,
Right,
wow.
right.
And it happened. Like, yeah, be careful what you release without authorization.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
that's I remember it. That you told me about the video, and then next thing I know, you're going to hospital.
if you do, they'll get rid of you. If you can release something the wrong way. Because it's you just have to do it the right way. If you have information, and there's a lot like Eric, that guy, he said a lot last week in Congress.
Are you talking
Uh,
about Congressman Eric Burlinson?
yeah,
Talking
yeah,
about the briefing that Donald Trump got from Nordic extraterrestrials? Is that the one?
yeah, Yeah, he said a lot there. Everybody got surprised. Everybody was talking about that in the meeting as well, about
Yeah.
the information that he was about the Nordics, about the what reptilians and other species of ETs that we're interacting with, and and I'm sure they're going to include soon the inner Earth people, that connect with us too. You
So,
know, like,
so you're saying that this Atlantic Space Ark rising up and the Nordics being kind of like in control of it, or yeah, but they're with military operatives from different countries as well.
yeah,
You're saying that that was the catalyst for a renewed effort to bring about peace, to like resolve the conflicts on Earth.
yeah. I think that was part of it. I think that was part of it. There's different governments on these on this particular space arc. I think United States, Israeli, um, have most of the portion of control as well in this arc.
Now you've mentioned missions where you've seen Chinese operatives and Russian operatives. Like the Atlantic Space Ark. You've been on missions with both of those and with people from Mexico. But you never mentioned Israel, or well, I don't recall you mentioning Israel. So Israeli operatives are also part of some of these missions.
I think so, Doc. Yeah, I didn't want to. I don't want to put my word into that, but yeah.
So what do you know about Israel being part of these missions? Is there anything you've been told, or is something
Well,
you
I
see?
can't really talk as much about it, but yeah, they're involved.
Mhm.
Totally involved.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. Okay, so what what's the kind of current status now in terms of the Atlantic Space Ark floating, this object coming into our solar system, and you got the Antarctica Space Ark activating, and you got the Pacific Space Ark that was recently accessed by these black hats, but now the Pacific Space Ark is under, well, who's I mean, well, what's the status of that? So, what's happening now overall?
Right now, what's happening is that everybody is crapping themselves because we have this massive space arc giving out a signal. And I don't think the Nordics have control of that. They have control of, bringing it up and moving it. And if they want to take it out from the atmosphere, they can, but it's stationary. It's like blocked. Like it wants to stay on Earth still, but it's giving out a signal and they can't control that signal that it's giving out. So that signal is calling this massive ship. I'm assuming back home to the solar system, and it's getting here fast. I think. I think it's making people understand that hey, we got to stop what we're doing on Earth and pay attention to what's coming because yeah,
Okay,
I know
so
people were scared about the Gog Magog, but now we have like I'm scared that they might take this and turn it into a fake alien invasion type of deal. So that's what they were talking about as well. That they're scared that this massive object that's coming from into our solar system, they're scared that they might twist it and tell people that hey, something is coming, and we have to be prepared, and they'll try to do like a one world type of deal thingy to get everybody together, and they'll try to twist it. The black hats will try to twist it into a you know type of uh alien invasion type of Independence Day type of thing.
okay, because you've mentioned before that the space arcs all over the world. They're being activated. You've talked about fleets having arrived in our solar system in the past, and that they're activating the space arks.
They're still there. Yeah.
Okay, so now there's this new craft that's come in, and it's something completely separate, or is it connected to those earlier fleets that came in?
I think it's connected. I think it's a little bit separate. I think it's separate from. I think it's more connected to the ark itself, the arks itself. But I think the fleets that came in our solar system, I think they were like doing a type of reconning before this massive ship comes in. So, you know, like the Muamua, everybody was like, it. I wish I could say more about why. I think I have to talk to the person that gives me the green light to talk about like the why. I'll try to be careful what I'm saying here, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
so I'm trying to put it in 2 words, not to let you guys know what's happening, but like I can't give out as much as information because there's still things happening in the realm of what is the arcs. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? I know people will understand. They're gonna write in the comments. They're gonna understand what I'm trying to say.
So all this was told to you at that briefing, at that house where you were taken with others. So anything else?
Yeah, sometimes we're taken to these meetings and they tell us the information like if we were involved, like if we made it happen. Uh, so I don't know if I'm not remembering, and because I remembered almost every mission or everything I did when I was in the military, but now I'm being called to these meetings and I'm not like understanding why. Hey, why am I here? You got other people here. But like if we were part of bringing this massive ship out and we had a part of it, so I think they have to tell us what's happening. So it's quite interesting that we're being called and everybody sounds confused. Everybody sounds always confused when they hear this information, but the person that's talking in front acts like if we were part of it, like if we did something we had something to do with it. So everybody looks at each other like we hear this information and and the regular news is given out about the big beautiful bill, and all that, and they're not talking nothing about this. And we're like looking at each other, listening to this. It's like, okay, we got this portion happening that nobody knows about, and then we got this thing that's happening that everybody knows about. So it's like two worlds, So people get stressed because of that. Hopefully soon everything will be together and
Mhm.
all this information will be at once. So it's hard for us to take that in and to understand everything at once, what's happening and how to put the strings together of why the beautiful bill and why the arcs are floating up, and there's a lot of things behind the scenes that are happening that a lot of people don't know.
Now you mentioned that this object that's coming into our solar system and the Atlantic Space Ark floating, that there were fears that these events would be twisted by the deep state to make it look like there was an attack. So this was the briefer was saying this to everyone. He was saying that. So
Well, yeah, the brief and everybody started talking about that. Like, oh yeah, they're gonna try to twist this. They're gonna try to twist this. When we say they, the black hats, yeah, they're gonna try to twist
Okay.
this.
Okay, so these are positive developments, the floating of the Atlantic Space Ark,
That's huge.
and
That is amazing. We couldn't believe it that the Nordics got that going and they got it going. So so it's kind of cool.
right, and they got it going, but with the help of some humans from different countries.
Yeah,
That's
humans and some inner Earth people as well.
okay. All right. So there was a collective effort here for people to go into that space arc and activate different components sufficiently so that it would begin to float. That so that's a good thing. That's a positive development. You got this object coming in our solar system, which um, is connected in some way with the Atlantic Space Ark rising. But the concern is that the deep state, because they still have power over the mass media and so forth, is going to make all this look, these positive developments look like, oh, we're going to have an alien invasion or some negative scenario.
Probably the last card. I think that's one of the last cards that they've been trying to do. You know,
Okay.
so so now we just have to be vigilant of what we hear and what we see in the skies. And they're showing themselves, Doc. They're the Nordics. They're showing themselves. Uh, I don't know if any other ET species are showing themselves as well, but I'm sure they probably are.
Hmm.
So everybody's showing themselves, and
Now, now that craft that you videotaped above your home, now was that a Nordic craft, or do you it looked like I mean, the way it split and then joined made it look like that was an extraterrestrial craft or something like that. Or yeah, do you know anything about what that craft was, who it belonged to?
I felt that it was Nordic. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was Nordic technology. Uh, I think it was showing that, hey, like we have this technology, so we can be a couple thousand years more advanced. So let's let's keep in mind that we do have the technology to be here and then but also be here at once. And so I think that video shows probably a little bit of the capability that the ships they have.
Hmm.
So that was kind of awesome that they were showing that to everybody, not just me. I shared it to the world. So
Okay, so that meeting that you were taken to, there were approximately 28 people that were there. You get this briefing, you're given all this information. So what happened when the briefer finished sharing all the information with you?
everybody got in line, not like a type formation. They took everybody to the vans, and they started taking us back to the base where we parked, and then we went back to the room inside the base. We they strip you off again, not clothes, but like anything that you have on. We didn't have nothing, but every time you come back into the base, it doesn't matter who you are. If you go to these buildings, you still got to go through like the security part of it. Uh, the Nordics, I noticed that they went through a different way. Like people, we went through a certain way, and the Nordics they went to another way, like another way.
Out of that 20, out of the 28 people that went, how many were Nordics and how many were human?
Like eight, there was like eight Nordics there,
Okay.
and the rest were humans. Yeah.
And did you get to talk to the Nordics or did you talk to the other
No,
people?
I talked only to the humans. The Nordics were really quiet. I'm serious of the information that was coming out. So
Was everyone kind of like unmasked? I mean, you could see people's faces. You could
yeah,
recognize them.
yeah. You can recognize people. Yeah,
Did you recognize any of the 20 people, the 20 humans? Did you recognize any of them from previous missions?
I did. I did recognize like two or three people there. Yeah.
Okay. You've mentioned Dan a few times.
Yeah, I didn't see Dan.
Okay.
I haven't seen Dan. I'm sure he's involved. Yeah.
Hmm. And you've mentioned a couple of other guys that might be coming forward. Any developments from those guys that might come forward?
Yeah, I'm talking to them and all that. They're just scared for now.
Okay.
They're not scared, but they're like a little bit hesitant because of
Mhm.
what's happening around the world right now.
And in one of your earlier updates, you talked about going to that kind of like inner Earth facility in the South Pacific with your cousin. And does have you seen him on other missions? And was it just that one mission that you were on with him?
You're talking about Alex.
Alex, yeah.
It was just that one mission that I went with him,
Hmm.
and other than that, I haven't seen him as much. We talk on the phone and all that, but we don't talk as much as for the missions and all that. We talk about different things, family things and all that. And yeah, I haven't seen him as much also in the missions.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what do we make of all of this? I mean, should we be happy that this is happening, or should we be concerned that the deep state's going to try and twist this positive development? Well, what would you want to tell people? What is it that people need to be told here?
To be full and to trust the process of what's happening. If you're hearing this information that I'm bringing, just be mindful about this information, about what's happening with the ETs and what's happening. Be smart of it. Grab a piece of paper and put one and one together. Why is this happening? Why is the war stopping? Why are we having these ships flying around and interacting with people? So to be vigilant, that's one. To have your head on a swivel, that's two. When I say put your head on a swivel, just try to take in the news, but don't take completely the news. Like Donald J. Trump says, there's a lot of fake news out there, you know, a lot of fake news. So the truth is coming out. A lot more people are coming out saying, "Hey, this is true." And now a lot of people are looking into us and saying, "Wow, these guys were right." We've been talking about this for a long time, Doc. And now people are really waking up. So, uh,
Yeah, well,
but
we got 3 books, lots of articles, lots of photos, and now video. They should be paying
yeah,
attention.
and soon I'm going to be taking off my mask for sure. So uh, that's going to be exciting for a lot of people. I'm going to switch up the mask because people are saying, "Oh, you look like a terrorist." Oh, so I'm going to get me a different like mask for now. Uh, but other than that, I really want to reveal myself. But I'm just waiting for the right time, Doc. It's
Okay.
I know people want to see my face and all that,
Now,
but it's a tough decision to make because I don't want to be nothing concentrated on me. I want it to be concentrated on the information that I bring, and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm holding up to show my face because once you show your face, you show people who you are and where you come from, and there's going to be a lot of shenanigans happening if I show my face with family, with friends, with people that are your neighbors. So I'm just keeping it for now.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
well, yeah. Well, you'll become like a celebrity overnight. Just in terms of the name. I mean, your exposure, people paying attention, and all right. Well, this is very exciting news that you've shared.
Yeah, really exciting news. I'm really happy. I just, feel happy about this information. There's nothing negative as much, but also keep your head in a swivel, because the black hats are still trying to, like people say, they still have something probably inside their sleeves. So we just have to be careful and just really know, like, if they start talking about an alien invasion, just keep away from that information in a way.
Very good. All right. Well, I want to thank you, JP, again for coming on the show and sharing this amazing information. And I think we're all ready now for the next step, whatever that is. Well, we prefer it to be the positive development, but definitely we're ready for something.
We're ready for something, and it's happening. It's happening. It's going to happen. So, Furia Mate, Doc, it was a pleasure being here, bringing this information to your audience, and much love. Furia Mate.
Thank you. Aloha.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Sala. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Sala. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.